as the weak side top laner. He's like the Odoamne of the NLC, if you will, right? He will play the Orns, he will play mostly weak side, he will play towards, we've also seen him play Poppy a bunch of times as well, which is really strong into jump and gates champions. And on the other side, Tatui, for me, has to be the carry for Singularity. He has been one of the more aggressive top side laners that we have seen, and I can't wait to see him on something like this. I don't think this is an actual surprise MC spec ban.
And then again, and immediately over on the other side, if you don't already know, Muda basically for the majority of 2021 was a Seraphine one-trick pony. Then obviously control mages would have to be picked up by his arsenal. And what's the next control mage Muda had in line? Well, it was the Orianna. So you can clearly see that Riddle is targeting and singling out a single member.
Are we going to have 6 AP champions? Go. Yes or no?
Do it. Yeah, I want it. Yes, yes. No, give it to me. Now, come on. No, you can't build that career with MP. Yeah, I don't...
Caitlyn is still up. Well, Caitlyn, Twisted Fate, once again, is one of the champions still up as well here. It's actually quite curious. It's actually quite curious to see what they prioritize, and I don't expect a first big Riven to come through. I would expect the Caitlyn to come through here, just because it is one of the AD carries left open. The thing is with Caitlyn is that she's the kind of AD carry that draws the entirety of the attention of the map down towards the bottom lane, because of how strong she is getting one of these lanes ahead.
See, that is scary. That gives the signal for Singularity that they want to play towards the bottom
That's the thing,
map.
right?
And for me, Tatui is the big focal point for Team Singularity on who has the most carry potential in this team. So now I would love to see how this shift is going to work in likes of Singularity and what Tatui is going to choose to play on the top side, because now that gives Kects the R5, since their bot lane is a little bit more of a passive bot lane.
And brilliant pickup if they lock in this Karma as well. In LCK, this has been the response pick to Caitlyn. Every time she comes through, you either match it with an Ezreal or Jhin, and then you pair it up with a Karma as well. Just because she is one of these supports to deal well with the pressure that comes through from her Caitlyn. She has a lot of damage in her kit to kind of force the Caitlyn back, and especially because we've seen Caitlyn so often with her Lux. Well, Lux is having a harder time trying to hit that binding once you get the shield from Karma to come through. So I have to say, while letting the Caitlyn power pick go open, I can definitely see what Riddle's plan is right now, and as we can see from the picks, Singularity is playing into it.
So the one thing that usually ruins plans for a Caitlyn down the bot lane is Gangplank. We've seen it before from Dusty Viking Talkers. She was like, I will be seeing barrels, for the next month to come. So I'm thinking right here, if Singularity don't want to grab it away, possibly put it on their top side of the map to be able to assist the Caitlyn Lux, it could potentially be taken away by Riddle. Or banned away. I don't necessarily see here the Gangplank picked for Kects unless they also want to go for the weak side top lane, which then it means that maybe we're playing towards slow kick, so I don't see that happening necessarily.
Oh, it's interesting now with the Graves, because this creates an interesting dynamic in the team as well on the side of Singularity. We're no longer looking at, per se, dives in the early game, because it's a bit more difficult to set up a dive with this team roster now, because you don't have this immediate engage to come through. Instead, it's more like, okay, we have priority in the bot lane, let's try and use this priority to play for the Graves. So it's creating a different dynamic like that between them.
And on one side, you see Riddle building up a lot of range to outrange that Caitlyn. On the other side, you have range champions, but with not so much range aside from Lux. So, and also, they're really, really squishy. So the player you want to give those hyper carries, or at least carries on the top lane, now has to play a tank.
Yeah. That is true, and also the Gangplank, I think it is very clever from Singularity to stop any shenanigans from stopping the Caitlyn Lux advancing into the bot side of the map. I do like the fact that we have the Jhin, the Karma, and the Corki. All 3 champions can poke later on, but so is the same for the side of Singularity, right? Because if you hit a binding, and then you Lux Caitlyn Graves combo, someone absolutely dies. Now, the thing that's really crucial here is where's the Graves going?
Yeah.
Because I see Pop playing Graves. He's played the Karthus before. He likes the more scaling sort of neutral junglers, but then I'm looking towards Tatui. Maybe Tatui wants to pick it up top if it fits the draft. Maybe we can also have Mutter play Graves. I mean, Mutter doesn't really strike me as a guy who plays Graves, but we could potentially see it. It's a triple flex. I'm most likely seeing ending up in the jungle. I'm not gonna lie here, but it is a triple flex, and that is something that Riddle should keep in mind here.
The thing is, at least Riddle can use this to hold on to the flex, because they have the last pick themselves. So if you're clever here on Riddle, what you want to do is you want to pick your jungler instead. So the scenarios Trouble just have been explaining, no matter what, Singularity will have to show their hand at some point once they move on to pick 4 and pick 5. So what they need right now on Riddle really is like either disengage or frontliner for these pokey champions that Trouble is mentioning, because it is going to be a pokey battle all in all. As you can already see, there's a lot of range, and they come in with a flex pick of their own. You mentioned this Rumble, Trouble, so take it away.
2000 IQ? What happened? You're so smiley, I know.
Man, I took a gamble.
Oh,
I'm just gonna be honest. I've seen MC play a bunch of Rumble in the previous season, obviously because it was also flavor of the month, right? That it was played fully internationally. But again, honing it down to an ERL, I think it's a champion that still makes sense. The long-range equalizer into the Jin ult, into the Karma and Koki harassment from far away. To me personally, it makes a ton of sense, especially if Kex goes for something like a Poppy, something like an Ornn to fix the composition in the bot side. We just need a little bit of frontline for Riddle at this point.
Yeah, but you can already see the team composition from Singularity is actually pretty good at playing around with spacing too. There's a lot of ground between abilities you'll have to dodge.
Or yoinked.
Yeah, that too, but you get the binding from the Lux, you get the stun potential from the Syndra, you have the long range of the Caitlyn now. Now you have a frontline and on. The only thing I find a bit interesting obviously will be the Graves, but he's got priority now to play around with. So the last pick for Riddle will have to come through here, and you can either say, right, our bot lane's on weak side, let's play a carry now on the top side into Tatooine instead.
So, okay, so far it looked like a Brahmin. I'm like, maybe they're swapping Karma up top, but I do really like the Camille right here, because Camille together with Rumble can create a flaming hot carpet that no one can evade. If they're locking the Grace, they're locking the Caitlyn, all the luck, someone absolutely dies. And I really like that long range gate that Riddle have in their composition. I feel like both teams have created something beautiful, and also you have a bunch of scaling from the side of Singularity, but also on the other hand from Riddle, you have the pick potential.
I think that's going to be even more important in this series right now. It's already your reset timer into your objective setup, because if you get to be the first team on the objectives here, you get to use your poke a bit more beneficial, because one team will have to run into you. It's easier to kite back than it is to kite forward. So for these two teams, objective control, definitely the name of the game, this one.
And on the first day, we actually saw Singularity playing with the big range, but now they have to deal with it today on the other side. What will happen, we don't know, but as soon as we jump into the Summoner's Rift, we will. Casters, how are you doing?
Rumble, baby!
Rumble, baby, indeed. I mean, Singularity, and they're coming in. They need to get a win. Riddle coming in hot with some spicy pickups. Heading. What are we going to see in this matchup? Because I've no clue, honestly. I'm lost.
Oh, I thought you were going to have a good idea about this, because I'm sort of lost as well. No, okay. Then I'll have to make something up. Oh, shit. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it is a bit weird. I mean, we were seeing champions like Ornn, like Rumble, but it's also, like, this just speaks to the early season, how the meta is not really that refined yet, how you can play sort of your own play style, adapted towards your own preference and what you like to play, and I think that's really fun to see as well. That little guy that we just saw on the screen is the big thing to me. Quirky, probably the strongest champion in the game right now, at least like top 3 strongest champions, and I think any team with a Quirky that has good setup, and I think with a Jin Karma on his team, I think that's a good combination together with a Quirky. I like that combination of champions. For Riddle, this Rumble though, I have no idea what's going to happen, and he's going to be forced out of his jungle slightly, or at least there's going to be some deep vision here for Pop on this Graves.
Yeah, Singularity just getting in a bit of vision. Pop has been a underperformer so far in the NLC, to put it lightly. Hasn't had some particularly strong performances in his first 2 showings. Whether he'll be able to go into the jungle and get some action going early against MC on the Rumble is a case to be seen. Of course, Riddle 1-1. As you can see, Singularity 0-2 looking for their first win. Riddle, of course, should be noted, their only loss so far has been against X7, which, you know, X7 tax has started to pop up a little bit in our parlance in recent times. But excited to see where we're going to see action in the early stages of this game, if we are to see any action, and whether Singularity are going to be able to play around with the composition that they built with their little bit of extra range and a bit of aggression coming out in the bot lane.
Definitely a lot of attention going to be looking towards the bottom side here. Caitlyn Lux always, like, it needs to be played around whether it's on your team or on the enemy team. So if you've got the Caitlyn Lux on your team, you want to be putting down vision for them, you want to be tracking the enemy jungler with deep vision in the enemy jungle, just to make sure that the Caitlyn Lux can play aggressive, can play far up without getting punished. But if you're against it, you want to punish them because they're going to be pushing up far, they're going to be making themselves vulnerable. And speaking of pushing, when you've got the minions at the enemy tower, you can walk into the enemy jungle, get some control, and harass this Rumble a little bit.
A little bit of vision. Nukes is going to throw some down, but not going to be getting too much damage on there. But something that we should also note is that Muta is someone to keep our eyes on massively. On the Syndra into Corki, you said Corki is one of the strongest, if not the strongest champion in the meta right now. Slowq, an exceptional player, but Muta has been the standout for Singularity. He has been the player who's been putting in the work and has actually looked like a very, very strong contender in this mid lane on a team that hasn't yet hit that cruise control speed that they're going to want to be happy with. So with this Syndra, if he can start popping off and start moving around the map and making stuff happen, not only is that shutting down Slowq, but it could also be the way that Singularity get into this game.
That's a good point. I think the Syndra is a strong pick here as well. I mean, you can pretty much go for a combo onto any of the 5 enemy champions and be able to do a lot of damage to them. Tate pushing up quite far though. Does Kex have a hookshot wall dive to get the CC here? MC flashes forward.
That was an interesting decision from MC, flashing forward. The slow obviously missed, but the Camille was not in range, and Tatu actually just going to be able to walk away. Did have to flash himself, but trading jungle for top flash potentially maybe worth it if MC can make something happen in that top lane moving forward, but if not, interesting decision.
Yeah, speaking of interesting decisions, we got the Dark Harvest on both of the junglers. We saw it proc there for MC, so he's got the one stack there on the Dark Harvest on the Rumble, which is going to be giving you a bit of extra damage. It is on the Graves as well, though, which is not something I've really seen. I mean, I'm looking on the different websites to see what sort of builds that pros have been using on the Graves, and I can't really see any Dark Harvest plays, but I guess this is just going to be the burst damage choice. I mean, you're sacrificing a little bit of sustain, a little bit of utility, just for the raw burst damage later on in the game.
I mean, having that burst damage alongside someone like the Syndra, the Lux obviously brings a lot of burst to the party as well, so you're going to be able to take 100 to 0, and if you can remove the Corki or the Jhin from the fight very, very early on, then you're making that fight go forward much, much easier for your team, because, yeah, you've got people like Camille and Rumble who are going to be able to put that down, but if you're able to just snipe through, grab one, grab even 2 kills, then the fight's won before it's even started. And with this range that Singularity want to really be playing at, having that decisive final blow from someone like the Graves could be the difference maker.
Brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to be getting these really nice combos with the Lux Snare, the Syndra stun to set up, and then all of the follow-up Caitlyn trap, and then just a full combination of spells from the Caitlyn, from the Graves, from the Syndra. That's a lot of burst, and as we spoke about earlier, not really any big tanks on Riddle. I mean, Kext on the Caitlyn is going to be sort of tanky if he goes for something like a Steraks, can dodge away things. This ultimate does have the passive, but I mean, if you're tanking up several spells from like a Caitlyn and a Syndra, when you're stunned up by a Syndra or rooted by a Lux, you're going to be dead anyway. So there's a lot of good pick potential, and you talked about Muta being a key player. I think he definitely has the potential to make things happen in this game.
Whether he's the one hitting that initial stun like he has just onto Corki, thank you for showing my point, Muta, appreciate that, or whether he's going to be following up with the stun and ultimate from a slightly longer range if he's got someone like Lux there already, remains to be seen in these kind of plays, because it's been a pretty slow opener to this game. MC might be looking towards Muta, who's overextended just a tad, does have flash, does have ghost, and will be popping that ghost to try and get away. MC putting the damage down, no ultimate to lay out the red carpet. So no kill this time around. Yepe gonna miss out on the snare and gonna take a lot of damage in return. And just like that, it's Vatican taking down first blood.
Oh, really? Yepe playing very aggressively, going forward there, but misses the binding. And I mean, even if you hit the binding, you're probably dead anyway. Maybe you could have hoped for a 1-for-1, but that's just the Lux going down, as well as using 3 summoners. There's the Flash Ignite on Yepe and the heal from Spike for only the Ignite onto Nukes. So that's a big misstep for Singularity in the bottom lane, and that means that this aggressive lane that wants to push up really, really far, to play up at the enemy tower, it's going to be really easy to punish them now when they're missing 3 crucial summoner spells.
bot lane's going to be much harder for Singularity. And we said that bot lane might be the area they want to play around with this Lux Caitlyn. Of course, with Caitlyn being able to have pressure, it does open up the map a little bit for Singularity to try and potentially play elsewhere if they wanted to. But so far, they haven't really tried to make anything happen. It's been pretty slow. Port just happy to farm up as Kex maybe trying to get some damage down onto the Ornn, but it's Ornn. It's not necessarily going to happen. But it's been a slow one from Singularity. Are they able to sit back and try and play it a little bit slower, do you think?
I definitely think that they, looking at the champions, that's something that they can do. Try to slow it down a bit. You are giving up the early game potential of the Caitlyn Lux lane if that's the case, but it might be the best choice not to take any big risks here. You're not scaling poorly by any means. I think, especially with the Ornn, with all of the Ornn items, it's something people tend to underrate how strong those actually are. It's a very large injection of gold that you're getting onto all of your champions once he levels up towards that level 18. So if you're able to get to that point, oh, here's the all in top lane though.
Ooh. The ultimatum might have been a little bit too early for Kex, not able to dodge away from the ult, but he will be able to step away from the fight. Vatican needs to be careful though, as there's 3 versus 2 in the bot side as Port's made his first gank attempt. Nuke's able to sidestep the snare. And the damage actually returned is pretty big on the Jhin. He's going to call the curtain though as MC moves in. He's got the red carpet. It's a real film premiere here, but the only kill on the menu is going to Riddle.
Once again, a misstep from Singularity's bottom lane. Oh, there's a nice Syndra all in the mid lane. Slowq able to get out of there though, but yeah, in the bottom lane we've seen Jeppe now miss 2 crucial bindings, and both times he got punished. So 0 and 2 right now. Small gold lead for Riddle, and it's all about the bottom lane. In that respect, Muter putting a lot of pressure here though, but Slowq is going to be fine.
It's unfortunate that Vatican hasn't been able to grab himself a kill himself. It's been going over, 1 went to Karma, 1 went to MC, who's actually going to be called out in the river with Singularity, the first ones to move. You've got Port, Jeppe, and Muta. Tatu actually could get in onto the rumble before Kex is there to respond. It was actually pretty low, but the flashes are traded, and everyone gets away. Now members of Riddle are moving forward. You've got the package on Slowq as well to keep your eyes on, but Rift Herald going to be started up by Singularity, potentially trying to make this one their first objective of the game, but Nukes and Slowq coming in towards them from the bottom side. We'll actually get the root down. Jeppe gonna put some damage and some CC as the objective goes pretty low. The package is still running though, and this could really break up the fight. It could be a smite vest as MC thinking about moving towards it, but isn't quite in range just yet. Actually, the game's gonna come through. Luke's goes low, but it's a steal from MC. The irons have been picked up as Luke walks away. MC thinking about it, he wonders, is it worth going in? Slowq has the package, remember, still in the back of it, goes on through, grabs the objective. The red carpet is used to disengage, and members of Singularity, they burn low. They're forced back, and Riddle secure the Herald.
What a play from Riddle. I mean, the only thing I was thinking going into that is, Riddle, don't do this. This is stupid. You're gonna get punished. Because they kept the Jhin in the bottom lane through all that fight while Spike was rotating up towards the Herald. So it would have essentially been a 4v5 if it would have had a big fight when Caitlyn and Rumble were already low before that, but able to get the steal really nicely there, and then stealing away the eye with the package as well. Top lane though, Kex.
Careful, gonna be knocked up, going low. Has the ultimatum and flash away. Will he be able to survive for a second longer? He will, but Porp secures the kill.
And the first Dark Harvest proc for the Graves as well. 11 minutes in, stacking the Dark Harvest.
Oh yeah.
Nah, but jokes aside, that was just some nice combination of skills right there. And Kex not able to dodge away with the Hextech ultimatum or the flash. Would have been better to just save those abilities, but again, hindsight is always 20/20. So did what he could to survive, not enough though. It's going to go for the Divine Sunderer build here, of course, when you're going up against a big tank. That's what you want to be able to shoot through his HP, and eventually, I'm pretty sure the Kex will be able to do so, but then we're talking, at least in the mid game, we're talking like 2.5 to 3 items before he's going to be starting to winning these big 1v1 fights with the Ornn. Up until that point, Ornn is going to be able to hold up really well in the 1v1, which is what we've been seeing so far as well.
Of course, I'm going to be really happy just to hold up and build some items for his team, get some value. Spike not going to be super happy standing where he is, and Ultimate's burnt once again, but Riddle grab another kill. It's really simple for them. Singularity trying to be cheeky, making the play on the Dragon as the players made on the bot lane. Will they be able to secure it? MC gonna go blinded. Takes a decent amount of damage and won't be able to get the steal this time around as Porp slides away. And the Chemtech Soul, we're gonna get the fog this game.
Ooh, that's pretty nice to be able to go for those plays with the invisibility there. Bit weird for Riddle there in the bottom lane, actually just going for like using all of your big ultimates, the Rumble and Jhin ones mainly, or perhaps even the Karma, to pick up the kill on towards the Caitlyn and then giving up the Dragon. Perhaps they thought that they could get the kill on the Caitlyn and then go for the Dragon as well, but not able to do that quick enough. So in the end, I think Singularity is pretty happy with that. I mean, they'll sacrifice their Caitlyn for a Mountain Dragon and getting a bit closer towards the Chemtech Soul.
Ooh, damage is actually coming off through the slow queue. I must admit, I trod a little bit. I thought a Dragon would be taking much sooner. That was actually first in the game. So we haven't actually got the Chemtech Soul. It's just the Chemtech Dragon. Unfortunate, but we're still holding out for a Hextech Soul. We haven't seen one yet in the NLC, so we're holding out for that one as Muta puts the pain down onto slow queue. Damage.
Oh,
done
10
very,
games,
very well.
no Hextech Soul?
No Hextech Soul.
I'm not a mathematician, but that seems pretty unlikely.
Statistically, it is. I mean, the first day we had hit parade on and he didn't see a single new soul. In the second day, I think we had 2 or 3 Chemtech souls, but no Hextech, so that was always fun to watch. But it could, I mean, it's a 1 in 4 chance. This game, we've got 3 more games after this one to see if we can finally spot those teleportation pads. But as it stands in this game right now, we're coming up to 14 minutes. A play is maybe going to be made into or by slow queue. The red carpet's going to be thrown down. The equalizer Muta takes a decent chunk. But the Charger is going to invest a little bit of gold into slow queue. You're not even going to be able to get the third plate down. And it's not the best Rift Herald, but remember, it was denied from Singularity.
And that's just looking at the timer in the top of the 13:45 or something when the Herald charges. Yeah, you're just putting it down before the plates expire, so you're able to pick up the gold. And getting 2 plates onto a Corki, that's pretty good. I mean, if you're getting the Corki, some extra gold, that's just going to be accelerating him towards those big item points. And that's when Corki is really going to be unlocked, and as I said, perhaps the strongest champion in the game, so that's really what you're looking for if you're a Riddle fanboy right here. Does have the Hex Drinker in his inventory though, which is pretty much only going to be useful against the Syndra, as well as the Lux a little bit, but Lux is not going to be a huge threat this game. So goes for the itemization in the 1v1, wants to play safe, doesn't want to take any big risks, which I think is a decent choice here.
Yepe going to be marched out by Porp, escorted into safety from the Jhin ultimate. Riddle this time not able to use their ultimates to grab themselves an assassination on a kill. But Muta actually might catch the Rumble here. He goes very low. Remember, this guy is not tanky. He's going to be hit by the ace in the hole and the ultimate. Unleash power from Syndra. Grabs Singularity, another kill. And now in the bot side, he needs to be a little bit careful. Yepe is very low.
Wow.
Hello, there's the damage from Jhin.
The Gale Force outplay right there. Farikan making work, and they're going to be picking up the tower here right near as well. We talked about Singularity wanting to play around the bottom lane, having this Lux Caitlyn duo wanting to put on pressure, but they're 0 and 4 at 15 minutes. They're losing their tower. I'm not sure about the exact HP on the enemy tower, but it's pretty high, as we can see on the minimap. So Jeppe and Spike really not having fun right here.
I mean, this is good in terms of, this is exactly what you said is going to happen. When you've got a Caitlyn Lux, it's going to warp the game for both teams. And it looks like Riddle have really strode into that and said, we're going to prioritize down bot side. We're going to start these fights. And yes, it's been full kill participation to both Riddle bot laners. They're the ones who are doing a lot of work. Nukes especially has been crucial in that. But then you've got MC, he's making his way down bot lane. He's trying to get work done and maybe leaving the topside Kets a little bit on an island. Slowq now has the package that could look to get something working. But Riddle adapting to the game, they understand what they need to be doing, and currently it looks like they're doing it.
I think Riddle's been in the nice place at a nice time here, and they're gonna go for Taddy here.
Yeah, it's the Orn. He finally gets burnt through. Yes, the damage might not be there from Camille, but when 3 members of Riddle show up, it's simple as.
Yeah, they just the burst damage coming out there, or not have had the time to itemize animatic resist so far, and then Karma Ornn just Karma Rumble just throwing out all of their damage onto Ornn. He went down right there, and I think Riddle, they're just at the right place at the right time, securing the Herald right here. Gonna be looking towards a dragon quite soon. Want to see Riddle contest the dragon when it spawns. Not sure if they will be in position in time though.
Slow Q taking a lot of damage, Ace in the hole, not quite enough, but this just means that Dragon will go over to Singularity. Of course, this is our prayer to the observers, blessed observers. We all know you choose the dragons. If we could have a Hex deck, that would be great. In it? Thank you, observers.
It is.
We appreciate you around these parts.
Wow.
We're going to get our first look at the Hex gates as they activate, but Rift Herald did go the other way.
Yeah, Herald at this point in the game not usually going to be too useful, not going to do so much unless you're able to get some sort of a base race scenario where that can really make work, so we'll see if Riddle can make that happen. 2 dragons over to Singularity, really decent for them right now. Starting to go towards setting up perhaps a bit of a dragon win condition here. With 2 dragons at 17 minutes, that means you can secure the soul quite early. So they have set up themselves for quite a strong continuation of the dragons, but other than that, Riddle is definitely in control of this game, and they're going to be putting pressure towards mid lane right here.
Riddle pushing forward. That's going to be the second Rift Herald drop. As you said, maybe not looking to use it to grab massive amounts of gold, but they're going to try and break down the tower, open up the map, and make things a little bit easier moving forward. That's exactly what they've just done. Riddle securing the mid tower could potentially get a charge. Vatican is wanting to make it happen, and it will. Ooh. In the end, Spike is second late on the auto to stop the eye. But that's a decent little second Rift Herald for Riddle, and now they are still attempting to push forward a little.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I was not sure that this Herald was going to get a second charge right there, but getting mid lane tier 2 quite low right there, that is good for them, because if they're able to keep sieging, keep the pressure up and get that mid lane tier 2, that's huge control of the entire enemy jungle if you play that well, and I think Riddle is a strong enough team to make that happen. Taddy really laid down the hurt of the Kex here.
Although, this time around the ultimatum was used correctly. Kex in trouble though. Pop's going to be the first responder diving over the wall, but Kex will be able to slide away. The ultimate collateral damage isn't marking the end of the line here though, as the curtain called on to Spike. Yepe going to move in and try and block out, but all the shots are missing. Last one takes half of Lux's health bar as the tower goes similarly low. Slowky over the wall takes Muta out of the fight, and Riddle don't grab any kills, but keep the pressure on.
Yeah, they're really putting down the pressure. You have so much poke from so long range, and as soon as they saw Graves on the bottom side of the map trying to punish the Caitlyn, everyone just converged on the mid lane and tried to go for that objective, because that is where Riddle's eyes should be right now, looking at that mid lane tier 2, because as I said, if they get that tower, they get so much pressure on the map, so much vision control, so much control over the Baron, which will be spawning quite soon. So as soon as they get an opportunity, like Graves showing on the bottom side, they were looking for the tier 2, which shows that Riddle really, I think they're macroing pretty well. They are in the right place at the right time, and they just seem to be playing pretty smart.
And smart players, what we want to see from these NLC teams. Of course, still early days. This is only the 3rd game in the league for each of these teams. If Riddle win here, then they're going to keep themselves tied up with JDXL on a 2-1 scoreline, which is something that they'll definitely be happy with moving into the second day of week 2. Of course, Singularity losing this one would go 0-3, but they grab their first win. The game is not over yet. 20 minutes on the clock, 6,000 gold to the good for Riddle, though. And as you mentioned, they're in the right place, right time, and Spike is definitely the opposite of that right now. But every single time they throw these ultimates, not long cooldown ultimates, it must be said, they're able to make something happen, and the bot side Kex enjoying this one-on-one a bit more. And that is until Porp shows up.
A lot of damage from the Caitlyn though, from the Camille, sorry. Will she be able to get out of this?
Ultimatum has been burnt. Kex is going to be able to get out of this one. MC is here, remember, Equilibrium not quite up, but burning through. He doesn't need his ultimate to take down 1. Kex kicks down for the 2, finishing the 1v1. And Riddle, again, right place, right time. You said it yourself.
Wow, the Rumble damage! I mean, we've not been seeing Rumble in the jungle pretty much at all in quite a while. Kex does a good job at just buying time right here with his shields, with his ulti, with his E. And Teddy somehow missing that E. It looked like it was going to hit right there. But then the MC, look at the damage here. Flashing forward, and then just like one rotation of Flamethrower with 2 overheated auto attacks. Just one hits this Graves, which is quite a tanky champion with his passive, mind you. So that just goes to show the power of this Rumble jungle. And I love this day so far, Viper. I mean, we've been seeing first game, the Vladimir really surprising me, and now the second game, the Rumble jungle just coming out here as a surprise pick and really working out really well.
I mean, surprised us. It turns out Trouble might just be a genius, because this Rumble has come in and been a difference maker. Asterisk, Vatican and Nukes are playing exceptionally well in this game as well, and Slowq would be, but he hasn't had to do anything yet on the Corki. So, you know, but we're moving in onto the third dragon of the game. The first Hextech Dragon of the NLC 2022 spring season is secured by Riddle. Write that one down for your pub quiz answers later on. And Slowq holding on to their package around Baron, just making sure that Singularity don't look for a cross-map trade.
Yes, Slowq, as we talk about him, he's now finished his 2 core items. There's the Muramana and the Lunan Sekko. Really getting this Rocket Man build, as I like to call it, going here. No Ravenous Hydra yet, but I'm sure that's going to be coming in as the 3rd item to round out the trio of items that gives his rockets so much power. And with the Jhin as well on his team, there's going to be so much setup be able to get that out. And also uses the package to clear the wave, which is really cheeky. Package does a lot of damage if you're standing in it. But speaking of a lot of damage, that's the rocket.
MC's here, remember. Damage coming out through, actually. Riddle gonna land a lot of it, and there's the equilibrium, there's the damage, there's the kill. The equalizer used by MC once again, and this time it is the Jhin securing the kill.
I mean, whenever MC's been using the ultimate, someone's been dying on Singularity pretty much. 7 kills and assists so far. I would not be surprised if he's running Ultimate Hunter even on this build, because it just seems like he's ulting so frequently and doing it really well.
Ooh, the curtain call onto Yeppe. He needs to be careful. Dodges 2, hits 3, hits 4, but the healer's enough to keep him alive for a second to allow Nukes to secure the kill.
And this Lux is just looking really weak, and to someone who's not been seeing a lot of Lux support and just tuning into this game, I'm going to say Lux is actually quite strong in the support role when you've got the right team come for it. But now, yeah, it's looking really weak, because once you're falling behind, if you're not been able to put down the pressure in the lane, you're not able to do too much. And this is just what's going to happen to Yeppe in this situation. Getting caught out here, not able to do too much at all. Hex Gates! Yay!
Woo! Teleporting to behind the Baron and then gonna recall. Cool. I mean, it's good to see them getting some use. You don't want to let them, you know, cool down too much. Need to get some repairs and stuff going on the Hex Gates. But for me, Singularity, again, it's just kind of a slow game for them. They haven't really been able to get anything going, and this is what we've been seeing from them since day one. Day one, of course, that 50-minute game against Veneer, they looked pretty decent. Were able to capitalize on Veneer's weak mid-game. But when they're playing against opponents that aren't giving them an opening at all, Riddle haven't really given them a good opening just yet. They seem unable to get anything practically done, which obviously is not what you're looking for from your team in the NLC. But we can't come out just yet. There's a lot of gold against them, but they still have some tools. And again, Muta, he's turned up and he's performed pretty well.
Yeah, I gotta agree. He's been the strong point for his team so far, able to put down some pressure wherever he's been going. Gotta say though that Pop on the Graves not able to do too much so far. Really been playing very reactively. In this game so far, just reacted to, okay, there is a fight in the lane going on. Then, I mean, you're going there and trying to help that out, but not really setting up plays proactively. Kex getting targeted here though.
Kex getting targeted a lot. 3 members turn up for him and he's able to just hook shot away. We're on Ornament Watch right now, and there's been one picked up. I believe the Eclipse upgrade is called Synergy or Sis. It's not a word.
Yeah.
It's not close to being a real word.
It's a word in some language, not in English though.
Ah, outrageous! Right, come on.
It's something that has to do with like space and gravity. It's in Greek, I think. Okay, I say I think Greek? As I have the Wikipedia page open, but yeah, it's in ancient Greek according to Wikipedia, which I think is a source that we should trust at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wikipedia I trust Wikipedia more than I trust our desk. So, you know, I'm gonna leave it with you and hope that it is correct. But Riddle just slowed the game down a little bit, looking for the push in towards the enemy base. Most of the towers, in fact, all of the towers outside of the base have been felled by Riddle so far. Baron hasn't been taken by either team just yet. Another Dragon's in on 35 seconds. If they could grab this one, so if Singularity can grab this one and then stall it out, they might find their way back into this game.
I mean, the more time they're buying for themselves, I would say that they are getting towards a stronger position. You are playing against the Corki, who scales extremely well, but other than that, Riddle is not scaling super well, while you on Singularity have Brave, Syndra, Caitlyn with Ornn items. That's going to be a lot of damage coming out for them. Interesting to see where the second Ornn item upgrade is going to be. I'm not entirely sure if the Gale Force or the Luden's Echo is the stronger upgrade for Caitlyn or Syndra, so I'm going to be learning as well here to see the next decision from Tatoy. Speaking a bit about builds, though, Pop going for the full Athena the Graves is not really a standard choice. We usually see the crit lifesteal version. Speaking of Graves, though, can he go for the steal? Pretty close there.
Was pretty close. MC managed to secure it, and now Riddle looking to move forward. The current call being used. Jin looking to maybe slow down a couple of members. Only really hitting Ornn, though, and the fourth shot is too short range. Keck's able to dive away from the damage. MC takes it to the face, but they're all able to back away. People go low, but no one goes down.
Pretty much the first time in the game I've seen a Rumble ulti and no one on Singularity dying. Might have happened once before, but I think that might have been the first time we've seen it on stream at least. Oh, in the base though, Keck is on the Nexus, what?
Kex, what you haven't taken any of the towers yet, buddy, and he's going to try and get away, won't be able to do so. Shutdown going in onto Ornn, and they're going to be able to save this tower as well, buying some time potentially to start up this Baron, but Riddle don't seem super confident in being able to burst this one down. They're still keeping it going, MC and Nukes, but Nukes is going low. MC's not a tank, and Vatican just looking for port, will be able to do it, so the bait does work. And gets a double! The flourish of Vatican is definitely deadly.
What a sniper right there. Vatican there with the Jin W for the kill. Really nice set of plays from Riddle, and I think that goes to show you once more their good understanding of where to be on the map. Kex here failing the flash E, and that's why the play did not work out. I think if he would have landed the stun there onto Muter, that would have been the kill, but missing that ability means he goes down. Does buy a lot of time for his team though, but they choose not to risk flipping the Baron, because if you would have been staying on the Baron, that would pretty much have been a 50-50. There's also some long-range abilities like a Lux ult or a Caitlyn Q that could have come in to burst the Baron, so going for the secure kill on the Graves and the sort of lucky kill on Jeppe as well towards the end there.
And then grabbing the Baron after the fact. So they still have the objective, but now they have it, I believe, on 5. I think Camille was alive to secure that one as well, and Riddle going to be pretty happy with the game. Thank you very much, observers, just proving that everyone on Riddle does have that buff. The split push is going to be even more potent, and Riddle's team fighting ability is going to be absolutely insane. Singularity in a deep, deep hole, 12,000 gold down at the 30-minute mark, and Riddle going from strength to strength may well have enough to close out on this buff if they get a good fight in.
Singularity's going to go for something here. They want to go for... Oh, the Rocket Man!
Is going to be burned to try and get slows down, but again, it's just going to poke. Needs to be careful. Slowkeep taking low as well, but the push into the mid tower. They didn't manage to kill anyone, but they did manage to buy some time. Do need to be a little bit careful about taking too much. Poker's Tattoo might look to get engaged 4v5, cutting up the team, but not locking anyone up. Riddle moving backwards respectfully. The collateral damage only going to hit onto Nukes. The one in the bot side, we saw that tower was low before, and it's going to be secured by Camille. This time, Kex isn't looking for the hero play. It's just going to back off and allow his team to move back in on the mid side. Vatican is doing so much damage. It's disgusting with the poke. Gorky takes another port burst from 0 to 100 to 0 in very quick time. And Riddle may well be able to take down the second inhibitor tower. Inhibitor bot side is the next focus for Camille. But this could just be the game. Riddle looking to break open the base in a big way. Will be able to grab one inhibitor. Still poking down heavily, using the red carpet to try and get damage as much as possible. But they're going to turn their attention to that mid lane inhibitor as well. Kex is not convinced, and the rest of Riddle follow. They don't take the game, but they take a lot.
Really hard to push in versus the Lux and the Syndra, even though you're having some insane damage now on the Corki. And that fight going into picking off the Caitlyn there is why I really love Corki together with the Jhin. Those sort of combination of champion. You can have the Karma as well, just for a bit of extra damage from really long range, but you're pretty much getting killed from an entire screen away by the Corki Rockets, followed up by Jhin W, Jhin ulti Corki Rockets once more. I mean, you're going to be having a rough time, and nice to see some Hextech Gates as well here. Can even be used to get the pick onto Munter here.
Yeah, Muta is done, so damage coming through from Riddle, and they weren't expecting Riddle to be able to move around the map that quickly. That is the power of these Hex Gates, because you can get back onto the map exceptionally fast, move across it exceptionally quickly from one side to another, and with that big pick onto the Syndra, actually Muta's first death of the game, it should be noted. Riddle losing out on Baron buff, but will be able to push forward, getting damage down. Porp's going to be cut down, taken low, but does manage to escape in the end. Actually, Kex trying to escape, but gets hit by too much damage and will be the victim. Nice snipe angle coming through, though, as Fanakan makes them pay, and this will be the third inhibitor tower falling for Riddle, securing that one and pushing forward into Team Singularity's base. Don't know if they'll be able to end up just yet, though. They're still trying to take down that inhibitor and make sure that it's a lot for their second win of the NLC season. Week 2, day 1. They should be able to break down these towers in quick succession, but are turning their attention to members of Singularity. Spike gets the snipe coming through from Yepe, but won't be able to land it onto anyone. Riddle dancing around these Nexus towers, waiting for their minions to come in, throwing down ultimates just to keep members of Singularity at bay. And it's just going to be as simple as that. Fadikan dives away from Muta's ultimate. They're going to try and defend, but there's too much damage coming in from Riddle. They're not going to let this Nexus stand. You've got to imagine Slowkey putting damage down. Nukes is there. Fadikan still has a bullet in the chamber, and with it, he secures Riddle's second win of the season.
And a great way to finish there, Fadikan. For me, the big player here, the big MVP on this Jhin, finishing up the game level 17 versus a level 15 Caitlyn. He's been just putting out so much pressure on this pick, playing it really well. I mean, you're in a tough matchup. You're up against the Caitlyn Lux, but you just win fight after fight, and then you just put on so much pressure in every fight, killing people from a screen away. I swear that last curtain call, I mean, those shots killing the Graves, they were curved around the enemy team. Like, he's playing this Jhin so well.
It was, those shots were insane, and Fadikan played exceptionally well. Everyone on Riddle actually had a very stand-up performance. The Camille, there were a couple of question marks on, but when it came, push comes to shove, he was definitely winning out in those 1v1s as you'd expect against the Ornn in the later stages. But for Singularity, I just want to get your opinion as someone who didn't necessarily watch all of week 1, hasn't been with the NLC as a guest in. Singularity, they definitely struggled in this game. Can you pick up anything that they really need to be working on moving forward?
I mean, it's pretty hard. I think the comp that they were playing did not really make sense with the strengths that they have as a team, because they were putting so much pressure on the bottom lane to make things happen and play aggressively, but instead they got punished and outplayed over and over. So if you have your bottom lane as sort of a weak point, maybe you should draft differently, try to put pressure on the top lane as well, play around that, try to get the top lane rolling or the mid lane. I mean, the draft and your team strengths have to be on the same page.
Well, we've got Akarom and interviews. Name a better duo. I'll wait. But you'll have to wait a couple of minutes because we've got a break. But don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.